The void of consumerism. Consumerism is the idea that increasing the consumption of goods and services purchased in the market is always a desirable goal, and that a person's well-being and happiness depend fundamentally on obtaining consumer goods and material possessions. Innovations to participate in the drama of consumerism are extended to all of us. Consumerism, the idolatrous pursuit of pleasure through stuff, can be worshipped by both the lavish and the simple. Like all other idols, consumerism is just an empty, useless facade. Consumerism is starving, and because we emulate the characteristics of what we worship, its worshippers are unsatisfied and never filled. The idolatrous pursuit of pleasure through stuff works against the way God designed us, so of course it leaves us miserable. Satan has offered everyone the same lie, from the patriarchs of Israel to Jesus and his disciples. Satan is not innovative. There is nothing new under the sun. The devil knows that the Creator designed us with spiritual needs. So he works to get us to feast on things other than what God has to offer. Satan is the architect of the course of this world, a deceptive force designed to reinforce the pagan delusion that life cannot possibly amount to more than just materialistic possessions, that only idiots forfeit treasures on earth for treasure in heaven, that the real fool to be pitied is the one who does not worry about tomorrow, that those who seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness will surely be disappointed. Materialists lead unhappier lives and are worse to the people around them, and it seems that social media might be fueling materialistic attitudes too. This is all according to a fascinating interview the American Psychological Association posted in 2014 with Knox College psychologist Tim Kasser, whose research focuses on materialism and well-being. We know from research that materialism tends to be associated with treating others in more competitive, manipulative, and selfish ways, as well as being less empathetic. An example of materialism and consumerism bringing out the worst in humans is found in the world of sales, such as car salesmen. Car salesmen will often lie, manipulate, withhold information, and exaggerate information just to make a sale. A more extreme example of consumerism and materialism bringing out the worst in humans is when humans kill each other over materialistic possessions. A good example of this is what was happening in the late 80s and early 1990s. In American cities, people were being murdered over sneakers and other sports apparel. On May 2, 1989, 9th grader Michael Eugene Thomas was murdered. He was murdered by James David Martin, a 17-year-old basketball buddy who allegedly took Thomas's 2-week-old Jordans. And of course, there are more examples of people killing each other over materialistic possessions, such as jewelry, money, and other consumer goods. Materialism is associated with lower levels of well-being, less pro-social, interpersonal behavior, more ecologically destructive behavior, and worse academic outcomes. It also is associated with more spending problems and debt. According to a psychological study, the more highly people endorsed materialistic values, the more they experienced unpleasant emotions, depression, and anxiety. The more they reported physical health problems such as stomach aches and headaches, and the less they experienced pleasant emotions and felt satisfied with their lives. People often become more materialistic when they feel insecure. Research shows two sets of factors that lead people to have materialistic values. First, people are more materialistic when they are exposed to messages that suggest such pursuits are more important. Second, and somewhat less obvious, people are more materialistic when they feel insecure or threatened, whether because of rejection, economic fears, or thoughts of their own death. Materialism and being a constant consumer becomes a sedative and a distraction from our unanswered, unsolved problems and questions. Materialism is linked to social media and people who watch too much television. One study of American and Arab youth found that materialism is higher as social media use increases. That makes sense since most social media and television is filled with commercial messages and also contains advertisements, which is how companies make a profit. In a sense, television and social media has created a universe of what some have called hyper-reality. The reality of television and social media seems to be more real to viewers than real reality. In this world, people sit transfixed by what is essentially an electronic box emanating colored lights. At the cost of living in the reality around them, face to face with other people, in short, television and social media fosters a consumerist society and creates a society of people detached from their own real world. The things you own end up owning you. Humans tend to believe that their self-worth is found in the things they own.
What? Things you own end up owning you.
We have been bombarded by advertisements and commercials everywhere we look since we were born.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
In this day and age, the average American is exposed to 4,000 to 10,000 ads per day. Overall, this explosion of advertisements can be attributed to the internet, as social media and other online websites typically have a heavy ad presence. So of course this has a heavy impact on how we view reality, what is to be valued, what's not to be valued, especially if you have never become a clean slate and examined your life and values. This reminds me of Plato's allegory of the cave. In Plato's allegory, the cave represents people who believe that knowledge comes from what we see and hear in the world, which is known as empirical evidence. The cave shows that believers of empirical knowledge are trapped in a cave of misunderstanding. The shadows represent the perceptions of those who believe empirical evidence ensures knowledge. If you believe that what you see should be taken as truth, then you are merely seeing a shadow of the truth. And this can be used as a metaphor for consumerism and materialism. Just because throughout the majority of our day we see consumerism and materialism everywhere, doesn't make consumerism the absolute truth of life, and to be our highest priority and value. Romans 12:2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. We all have spiritual needs. Even if you don't acknowledge this craving, you have it. Consumerism and materialism is one of the devices that the God of this world gave us to take us further away from our Creator. Trying to satisfy your spiritual needs with materialism is like trying to shovel dirt into a bottomless pit to try and fill it up, but it never gets full. The answer to the spiritual void is found in John 4:14. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him, him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up into everlasting life. I hope this was very fruitful. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and comment your honest thoughts. Again, thank you so much, and till next time.